Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about abilities and where they're at in their current state, what you should be using, on what character and what builds, and what they all do in general. If we load up our inventory, we can take a brief overview of the abilities. Also in this video, we'll be picking the winner for the giveaway from the last video, from the $250 getting started video. You just had to be subscribed and comment on that video in order to be entered. Not that I want abilities. Alright, so we're going to talk about each ability briefly here to start, and then we'll go into an endless and test it out and talk about what you need for each different type of combat. So first up is Draining Strike. Garner all focus for a guaranteed hit on the target with 125% damage, and reduce the target's next energy gain by 5. So this is decent just because it's a guaranteed hit. Anything that gives you a guaranteed hit is nice, because evade is a thing. And evade kind of gets out of hand, especially in PvP. I don't think Draining Strike has a crazy amount of value in PvE unless you're a very low hit rate character. So very early on, when you're very low level and you're sitting around that 100% hit chance, which is going to be lowered to 80, 70, 60% by the time evade is taken into account, Draining Strike is pretty decent. So for leveling, I would say this is a really great option. Once you hit max level and you start having enough intelligence or enough wisdom or whatever you're using for hit chance, Draining Strike becomes a lot less valuable in PvE. In PvP, it has its niche. Having a guaranteed hit is very nice, of course, in PvP because everybody builds so much evade right now. I think this is going to become less valuable after the defense reworks, but we'll see what those actually end up looking like. It might be a while before those are worked out, who knows. But I do know they're working on them right now. So this might become a little bit less valuable. At the same time, if you're building a strength character that has super high defense, you probably don't have a whole lot of hit chance. So maybe it'll still be very good. At 30 energy, it's a little bit expensive, but I can see why it is, because it's kind of a lifesaver for those low hit chance builds. The exact opposite of that, Magic Missiles, is channel a deep explosive magic for 3 hits, each with subsequently decreasing hit rate and increasing damage from 50 to 75% damage on the final hit. So this is an ability that costs 25 energy, so it's a little bit cheaper. I personally don't like it. And the main reason is because you lose hit rate on each consecutive hit, so it's less and less likely to hit all 3. And since you're starting at only 50% damage, the only way to do more damage than your base attack is if you hit at least the first 2. So you can do more damage than your base hit, but you really want to hit all 3 for it to be worth the 25 energy. Because if you're doing 50 and then like 64% or whatever it is, or 66 and 2/3%, whatever it is there for the second hit, you're only gaining like 16% damage over your base auto attack. And that's not worth 25 energy. So you really need to get that last 75% damage hit to get, an extra, almost double your damage, basically. You're getting like 90% extra damage compared to a normal hit if you hit all 3. The thing is the only time it's really usable is if you're a high int build. So if you have like 125+% hit chance when you're checking on the companion, if you use that, or if you have 100+ intelligence, basically, if you're not using the companion, that's about where the breakpoint usually is, about 100. So if you've got like 100 intelligence, then it's decent in PvE because you're usually going to hit all 3 despite the decreasing hit chance. But even then, you're not guaranteed to hit all 3 against like almost any opponent, unless you're fighting like Hogger or something with 100+ intelligence, and then Magic Missiles doesn't matter anyway. You're going to kill it instantly, so probably not going to last. The fight's not going to last long enough to get to 25 energy anyway in that case. So you're not really guaranteed. I think this kind of needs either to not decrease the hit rate or do a lot more damage. I would rather do a lot more damage and just be like this cool nuke ability for high intelligence builds. Obviously, it's very dangerous if you up it by too much that it becomes just an instant fight winner in PvP. It's kind of why I think it would be really good if they had different balancing for PvE and PvP, because if you make it good for one, you kind of break it for the other. So having them do separate, have separate percentages on each one, like, probably be a good idea. But I don't really care for magic missiles. I haven't used it very much other than testing it, and beyond that, I probably won't ever use it again until it's changed, because I don't really care for it in this state. That being said, if you land all three, it is really cool because you can do some crazy damage. Like, you can do 300 plus damage in a single string of attacks if you get all three to hit. Next up is Counterattack. Watch your enemy's every move in preparation for their attack to hit and counter at the last second, resisting for 25% and striking back for 25%. Counterattack is pretty decent because when you use it, you also get your normal attack. It doesn't say that, and it's not super clear here, but you do get your normal attack when you're setting up Counterattack, so you don't lose a turn of attacking when using this, which makes it decent. You only resist for 25% and strike back for 25% of your normal damage, so it's not like a crazy fight swing or anything. I think they could stand to have this be a bit higher, maybe around like the 40% resist and 40% strike back range. But then it would also be really good because it's already decent, so maybe just make it like 30% and 30%. Just something to be a little bit better because I don't think it's quite there yet. It's good, but it's not quite to the point where you really want to be picking it a whole lot. But you can use it. And I do think this has some play with strength builds once defense is reworked, where you set this up with Draining Strike to just have guaranteed damage output. Because the counterattack is, of course, guaranteed damage, even though you're only striking for 25%. And if you're running a really low hit rate build, having both of them is kind of nice to have guaranteed damage going off. Brace. Years of being battered ceaselessly has prepared you for impact. Brace yourself and take 40% less damage for up to 2 turns. Getting hit while active restores 20 energy and removes the buff. And costs 15 energy. So this is the only way to gain energy using an ability. If you use it and then get hit, you'll gain 5 energy. But you're giving up an attack, which if you miss gives you 5 energy anyway, and if you hit gives you 10. So generally I'd rather just use an attack than use Brace. The only time it's really decent is if you have a really low hit chance and you're most likely going to miss anyway. So like strength builds that have low hit or agility builds that have low hit chance. Brace, Draining Strike is a combo to use. You have your energy generation and then your guaranteed hit. And you just kind of spam Brace until you can use Draining Strike because you don't hit very often anyway. We're talking about people that have like 95% hit chance before evade, and you're going up against people that have, 55-60% evade, so your hit chance is like lower than 30%. Those are the times where Brace Draining Strike is kind of a good combo, because you just spam Brace, take less damage, you're already tanky with high strength, high charm. So you're already not taking a whole lot, reducing it by another 40% and gaining energy until you're able to use Draining Strike. Really, you'd probably want to save all the way up to like 45-50 energy and then use it so you can immediately go back to using Brace again. So that's kind of a strategy to use if you're really low hit chance, especially if you're struggling in PvE. This might be a combo. You won't take a whole lot of damage and you'll get that boosted guaranteed strike. So it's definitely one way to go. Then we get to Magic Armor. Imbue your gear with magical energy for armor power equal to 30% of your maximum HP and provide a 10% increase to damage. The armor decays over time, losing 30% of the initial armor gain per turn. So Magic Armor is really good. I don't think this is a surprise to anybody. I think anybody who's used abilities at all has kind of found that Magic Armor is really strong, unless you're low level. And it's because it scales off of your maximum HP. If you're low level, Magic Armor is kind of trash, because if you have 200 HP, 30% of 200 is not a whole lot of shielding, and it losing 10% every turn, you just don't feel it very much. Really, you lose 10% on your first turn, and then you get hit once, and the armor's gone, and you use 30 energy for it, and now you're sitting at 5 energy, and you just feel sad. So, not that great when you're at low levels, but when you're at 600 HP, all of a sudden that 30%, that's 180 shield. That's pretty good, and you're also getting 10% increase to damage. It's really nice. So overall, it's really good. They recently moved it up to 30 energy to nerf it a little bit. I'd have rather not seen it nerfed. I'd have rather seen every other ability brought up to its level, because abilities should be something that feels good and feels meaningful. That being said, the nerf is very minor, and in most cases won't matter. So in PvP, it just makes it a little bit more viable to choose something like Counterattack or Draining Strike, compared to before, where the play was just to use Magic Armor and only Magic Armor. And some of the other buffs did help that as well. But Magic Armor is really strong, and I think it is absolutely mandatory in Endless Dungeon because it helps your survival by so much. But beyond that, leveling up, you're not going to use it much. It's really for PvP and Endless Dungeon at level 9. And it'll be interesting to see how this goes as we increase in level and our max HP increases. Because I can imagine when we hit, like 2,000 HP, way down the line to level 20 or 30 or whatever level, this could become ridiculous. So we'll see how it goes, but it's pretty strong right now. Next we have Sneak. Slinking into the shadows increases evade and crit rate by 20% until you are hit. With each passing turn, decrease evade by 5% and increase crit rate by 5% until hit. At a cost of 20 energy. I think this is possibly the worst ability currently out. And the reason why is because it lasts until you get hit. Now, it's okay in PvE for high agility builds because it does increase your max evade. So if you're already at 60% evade, there are some bosses, and if you're using the companion, you can check it. But there are some bosses where you can get your evade high enough that it's literally not possible for you to get hit when you use Sneak for that first turn. And sometimes it'll even take 2 turns of the evade decaying before it's even possible for you to get hit. And increasing your crit rate, it does increase your damage by quite a bit, so it can be good in that niche situation. But for level 9s, I am not seeing the use, really. You're just, most of the time, you're going to use Sneak and then get hit, and you just use 20 energy for nothing. Use 20 energy in order to waste a turn and get hit by the opponent. That sounds really, really bad. Like, even Battle Cry and Enhance are better, and we're going to talk about why those are bad as well. But Sneak is, I think it's the worst of the bunch, because the vast majority of the time, you're just using Sneak and then getting hit, and, yeah, you just... Basically, you took a turn to say, I don't want to fight right now, I'm just going to chill, I'm going to sit here and take some damage from you. I don't know how you fix this either without making it broken, because either you give it so much evade and crit rate that it's an instant fight winner, or it's not going to be strong enough. And I don't know where the line is, and I don't know how you can possibly walk that line where it's good enough. And it's kind of a core problem of evade, where if evade is good enough to be used, it's broken. And if evade is not good enough to be used, then it's just completely useless. Yeah, it's kind of the core problem of evade. I don't know how to fix it. I'd probably just make a new ability and replace Sneak altogether personally, but that's just me. Maybe you just, I guess the way you do it is just don't make it until you get hit and just make it a set amount of turns, and then it's pretty good because you're gaining a bunch of evade and hit and crit rate. So maybe you can make up for it in the damage and managing not to get hit enough. But overall, yeah, I don't really like it until you get hit. Probably useful in PvE in some cases that I haven't found yet, but for max level characters, which is what I mostly use, not that good. Next up, we have Battle Cry. An ancestral battle cry meant to intimidate. Shouting out in battle will turn the tides of war by lowering energy damage resistance for 3 turns. I don't think it's enough, even at 15 energy. Lowering their damage resistance for 3 turns, just you're wasting a turn in order to cast it, and you're using up 15 of your energy. It needs to be a lot more. It doesn't say in here what the percentage is. I think it's like almost half, and it's still just, it's not good enough. Actually, I can go scroll up in the announcements real quick and tell you exactly what it is. Battle cry. No, it just says, even in the announcement, it just says even more. So we don't know the percentage, but it doesn't feel like anywhere near enough. Maybe when the defense, so my guess as to why it's like this and why they haven't buffed it more is because when defense comes out, they're expecting it to be mandatory for fighting strength raiders and really good against them. Because they're going to have stupidly high resistances. So if this lowers your defense by a significant amount for 3 turns, maybe it'll be good in that case. But in the current state of damage resistance, it's just not that good and not that meaningful. I think the only way it would work right now is if instead of 3 turns, it was just until end of fight. Like if you could use this and then their resistance is lowered massively for the rest of the fight, it would be pretty good. You could probably even make it like 20 or 25 energy and it would still be good. But at 3 turns, it's just not enough. You're wasting one of the turns already just casting it. So, yeah, not a fan. Enhance, or enchant rather. Endow your weapon with magical abilities that increase the target's basic attack by 45% for the next 3 turns. So you're just gaining a bunch of damage, 45% more for 3 turns, but again, you're wasting a turn to cast this, and it doesn't feel like enough, especially with the evade meta in PvP. You're most of the time you're going to end up missing 1 or 2 of those hits, and you're not getting that much use out of it, and it doesn't really make up for, because at 45% increased damage, you need to hit all 3 times that it's active. Just to do more damage than if you had just attacked once instead of casting Enhance or Enchant. Because if you hit twice, you did 90% bonus damage, but you gave up 100% damage from not attacking that first time. So I don't really see the value in this at all. Again, another one that would be good if it was until end of fight instead of next 3 turns. And then we get to Sharp Eyes, the other one I have equipped. Overcome your prey with the Eye of the Predator, increasing hit chance by 15% and crit damage by 30% for the next 2 crits. This is really good now. I would rate it as the best ability currently in the game. And the reason for that is that line right at the end, for the next 2 crits. You don't necessarily crit all that often, so effectively, this means the same thing most of the time as until end of fight. Because generally, by the time you crit twice, the fight's over. In Endless Dungeon, not quite the case, because they have so much health on Mythics and Legendaries. But for like PvP and lower end bosses, 2 crits, the fight's over. So this basically just gives you a buff for the rest of the fight. That 15% increased hit chance that sticks around for the next 2 crits is insane. Because even if you're not critting a lot, that 15% extra hit chance is insane. And it also, I believe, increases over the base cap. So normally the cap is like 135% hit chance or something like that. So this would increase you all the way, if you were at cap, all the way up to 150%. So if you're fighting somebody with 50% evade and this boosts you to 150, congratulations, you will never miss. You literally can't. And then on top of that, getting the extra crit damage without getting extra crit chance is actually kind of nice. I mean, yeah, extra crit chance would be great, but it would end the buff quicker. So you generally end up almost not wanting to crit right away because you want to keep that 15% and almost guarantee that you hit. And Sharp Eyes is just really nice. And then by the time you crit twice, usually it's just over. So I think this is almost mandatory for PvP right now. And it's good in PvE. It's good in the Endless Dungeon when you have the extra little bit of energy. Though generally in Endless, you're just going to be spamming Magic Armor forever. You're not going to use Sharp Eyes all that much, but sometimes you get a little bit of use out of it. So those are the abilities in a nutshell. We're going to take a break here before we jump into an Endless Dungeon and try out these abilities. We're going to go over to pick a comment, pick a winner. So after we remove all of the duplicates and remove all the replies to comments, we have 78 entries. I believe there's 100 comments currently. It is 3:07 p.m. Central Time on the 12th, and we are going to pick a winner. Good luck. DVKSR. Love your videos. Comment picker. Alright, so I'm going to pause here, and I'm just going to go through and make sure this guy is subscribed. If he isn't, we will come back and pick another winner. If he is, then congratulations to DVKSR. I don't know if it actually tells us here if he's subscribed. No, it doesn't. So I'll go check the subscriptions manually and be right back. Alright, you can see here he is indeed subscribed as of March 9th. So he's been subscribed for a while now. So over a month. Congratulations to DVKSR for winning the giveaway. I will go ahead and after this video is over, I will find your comment. Actually, I think I can go straight to your comment somehow from here. I don't know. I'll figure it out, but I'll find your comment and reply to it and pin it. If you see this, make sure to get in contact with me on Discord. And I can get your wallet address and get your winnings of your character and your $80 worth of ETH sent over to you. Congratulations. So that will be that. And then we will hop into an endless dungeon here and test out magic armor. Getting out and mute the tab. The also with the abilities update is the hotkeys, which is really nice. I know a lot of people have been enjoying having those hotkeys, and I like them as well. We'll take crit chance. We'll go ahead and show our stats here. We'll go ahead and take another crit chance. I think we're pretty much capped out on crit now, so we will switch to taking heals when it's crit. We can take one hit chance. That'll get us pretty much capped out on hit chance as well. So here, when they're low on health and you have magic armor up, just go ahead and magic armor because there's a chance you miss. Very small chance, but there is a chance. So might as well take that, but we're lower on health, so we'll go ahead and take the heal there over the evade, even though we want some evade buffs. If you click too fast, they'll just show up, so we'll go ahead and magic armor up now that he's used his magic armor. Give it a chance to evade. You always want to use your magic armor second, so that way theirs has a chance to fall down. We're going to go ahead and use ours here too, but yeah, he might use his. Unfortunate, we should have waited a turn, but it's always hard to tell what the enemy mob is going to decide to do, because they kind of can decide anything. And since we know he has magic armor, we're going to just attack here instead of using ours, because we don't really want him to use his as well. But we'll take the heal, and we're back to full after a legendary. And we're at full health, so we can take whatever buff we get. Nice that we're dodging this rare. We should have magic armored a couple turns ago, but oh well. It worked out. Yeah, and we would have left him at 5 HP there, so good to have the magic armor up, meant we didn't take extra damage. Floor 10 mythic. Not too worried with a max level character here. The counterattack comes through and then it lags a little bit. That's just the effective counterattack. Alright, we need to take health here for a while. We're getting a little low. Ooh, getting hit by the comet is unfortunate. And we run into a legendary. But not too worried about it. Uses a draining strike, that's fine. We had our magic armor up, so we're not taking too much damage to our health bar here. And this is where you wish it was still 25, is these random cases where it could have saved you some HP. But we're still healing back up a little bit. Even through a legendary, we net gained a little bit of health there. Should have used their armor one turn earlier, but oh well. Didn't end up mattering. And back to back. Get the succubus. Alright, we got a common. Nice. Unfortunate to get crit there, but oh well. Net gained health still. Hitting now in common, which is nice. And net gain health there too, not much, but a little bit. Alright, these epics are kind of what does most of the damage to you in Endless, it seems. Sharp Eyes is much less fun to see when the opponent is using it, because they also don't crit very often, so it just means they hit you almost every time after they use it. And the buff isn't really going to wear off for them, so then they get to just spam counterattack for the rest of the fight. Alright, a fodder. Unfortunate that we're now deep enough at floor 20 that they're almost never going to miss. So, you end up taking a good bit of damage from even fodders. This is a pretty decent run. It's not great, but it's decent. Oops. So I'm probably going to kill it, so I'm going to go ahead and use my potion here while my magic armor is still up. Get more use out of that magic armor. And it's just a good point to pop my potion and get back up on health. So this is a run where we could potentially get a necklace upgrade, which is very rare. If we can get to floor 24 and then hit a hermit necklace, it could be a massive upgrade for the character. I'm gonna save my Inflame for the next floor. You don't care about going past floor 24, you just want to win floor 24. So there's no reason, if you have your Ruin and Potion left, not to use them on floor 24 unless you're specifically in an Endless Dungeon tournament. Where points matter. But this is a pretty good point line too, so we'd be placing pretty well. Dang, we took a lot of damage there from the Celestial Epic. And then we hit a Legendary. This is going to be tough. But we'll use our Inflame. Yeah, I think we're going to die before we get to an Ice Barrier. I use the Sneak. Maybe? No, we're still 5 energy off from a miss, so unfortunate. And we hit a ring anyway, so it didn't matter. Oh, I guess we only need to survive to floor 23 because it rounds up. So yeah, we should have used the Inflame against the Epic there. But that could have been, if this had been a Pendant of the Hermit, it would have been a huge upgrade for the character. But oh well, we can get there with enough runs. In 930, if we were in an Endless Dungeon tournament, this would have been 2nd or 3rd place. So pretty decent. You can see how magic armor works. We didn't really use the Sharp Eyes there at all in the Endless Dungeon. It's kind of all about survival, and the best ability for survival right now is magic armor. You can maybe make an argument for equipping Brace for Endless for specific situations, but those are pretty rare too. Maybe Draining Strike too for situations where you can definitely kill a mob where it has like 50 HP left. But if you're going to use Draining Strike, Magic Armor basically does the exact same thing, since you're definitely not going to get hit and you're very rarely going to miss twice in a row. So it basically does the same thing anyway, so Draining Strike is a little redundant if you're only using it to finish off a mob. But yeah, that's kind of the state of abilities right now. This kind of ran really long. But congratulations again to DVKSR. Also, if you want this character, I actually have it listed right now, and we can look at it in the companion so you can see exactly what it's about. 242 hit points with this build. It's pretty decent. Can generally get top 4 in classic duels and top 4 in endless pretty consistently, so pretty good if you're looking specifically for a tournament character. Let me know, my DMs are open. I've got it listed for 2 ETH on OpenSea if you want it. But yeah, that's going to be about it for today. I also have this Dark Elf listed that hasn't recruited yet at a fairly reasonable price for a level 9. So, but yeah, this will be going out to DVKSR. Congratulations, and I hope you enjoy your new character. And for everybody else, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time.